As Jonathan pointed out, the White House and its allies have been happy to crown the controversial Limbaugh as king of the Republican Party and quick to call attention to the GOP leaders who kowtow to him. Clearly, many congressional Republicans are now in a tough spot. If they align themselves with Rush's statements about wanting the president to fail, they appear unpatriotic. But if they criticize Limbaugh, they may face the wrath of the conservative base that listens to Rush. Joining us now to talk about this is Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary to President Bush. And Ari, first of all, when Rush says that all Republicans want the president to fail, Limbaugh's wrong, right?
Well, David, I think this entire issue is nothing but ridiculous. You know, I'm reminded of a president who at his inaugural address said the following: "We've come to proclaim an end to the petty grievances and recriminations that have strangled our politics." He cited scripture and he said the time has come to set aside childish things. Well, Barack Obama's chief of staff is acting childish, and so is everybody else in the Democrat Party who is picking this ridiculous fight at a time when they should be worried about fixing the economy.
I mean, I agree with you. Rush, the easiest way for Republicans to move it beyond is to say, look,
Rush Limbaugh was not elected to anything. The president was, and it was the very president who said, put aside the childishness. What I think is happening here...
Then why are so many Republicans already kowtowing to him? Why did the Republican Party chair feel the need to apologize after first criticizing? Why do so many Republicans this week, they have not been able to bring themselves to say, of course Rush Limbaugh is wrong when he says that all Republicans want the president to fail? Why is it so difficult?
It's not the issue, and I don't think Republicans should take the bait and talk about whatever Rush Limbaugh has said. Rush Limbaugh is a conservative radio host, a very popular one, and I like him. But the issue is the behavior of the President of the United States and his staff. Which Barack Obama is it? Is it the post-partisan Obama or the Obama who sends his chief of staff out to act childish? This is the problem Barack Obama has, and he is acting more as a petty partisan instead of a president. This is the issue. These are our leaders. The economy is melting. It's been 2 weeks and we haven't even gotten the specifics of his banking proposal yet. Instead, he's reliving the worst moments of the campaign when we dealt with lipstick on a pig. Is this what Barack Obama wants his presidency to be about?
Ari, you know politics. Wouldn't you acknowledge, though, from a pure political play, that this is a wise White House strategy because you're marginalizing Republicans, you're painting the entire Republican Party, your opposition, you're painting them as being like Rush Limbaugh?
This is just as foolish as it was when everybody got into a fuss about lipstick on a pig during the campaign. America is sick of this type of petty politics, and it was started by Barack Obama. That's what I cannot get over. He is so different now than the Barack Obama he promised in that inaugural.
Ari, wasn't it started by the Bush administration? I mean, I seem to recall that during the Bush administration, when Republicans had legitimate concerns and complaints about the direction of the war, there was a straw man that was set up involving General Petraeus. And that straw man, it was MoveOn.org, and you played a pretty crucial role about trying to portray all Democrats as somehow being unpatriotic and against General Petraeus as opposed to being against the strategy.
Well, my point was it was the Barack Obama administration that began this whole nonsense about Rush Limbaugh, which is what I thought you wanted to talk about. But there's always room for differ with people involved in politics. But coming from the president's chief of staff, to allege that a radio host is the leader of the Republican Party, this is the petty nonsense that I don't think anybody expected from a Barack Obama. This is childish.
Fair point. But, Ari, if it's nonsense and if it's childish, right, wasn't it nonsense and childish started by Rush Limbaugh?
Well, Rush Limbaugh didn't give an inaugural address promising to be somebody different. Rush Limbaugh, like the liberal host on the left.
He's got 20 million listeners a day. He's got more power over conservative listeners than anybody in this country.
The wings of both parties are entirely entitled to have vociferous voices represent each. That's why they're called wings, and Rush does a great job at it. The President of the United States, though, he is the one in 2004 who said there's not a red America or a blue America, there's one America, but then he doesn't act like it. He is trying to stir up the same pits and divisions.
Then why can't Republicans already say the same thing? Why can't Republicans say, you know what, this is childish, this is ridiculous, Rush Limbaugh is wrong when he says Republicans want the president to fail, and we need to isolate Rush Limbaugh because we do have important issues to talk about?
Because then they'd be chasing the same childish game that Rahm Emanuel started, and I think it's to Republicans' credit if they had the discipline not to take the question and not to chase the issue. This is about Barack Obama and the manner and the style, the tactics that he's choosing to govern, because he held himself out as something very different, and now he is not being different. He's being just like all the rest of the politicians in Washington of both parties who came before him. But that's not what people expected. And how can he give an inaugural address saying to move beyond these childish things and then let his chief of staff engage in those very childish things?
Ari, is it unpatriotic for somebody to say they hope the president fails?
Patriotic? You know, I think that when
is it unpatriotic if they say they hope is it unpatriotic, since patriotism was such a crucial theme in the run-up to the Iraq War and the way that the Bush White House defended it, is it unpatriotic to say that you hope the president fails?
Dave, I think it's the very nature of our system that people can believe that policies are not going to work. And you should stand on principle.
Right,
if you
but
don't think the policies will work, you should say that. I don't think it has anything to do with patriotism. It doesn't have anything to do with patriotism to say that. I don't think raising taxes and going on a spending spree is going to help the economy. If that's what you believe as a Republican, you ought to say it. But it was unpatriotic, therefore, to criticize the surge in Iraq and to somehow issue some criticism with the surge and thereby take issue with General Petraeus. That was unpatriotic, but no, I think what you're confusing here is move on.
It's okay for the president to fail.
What I think you're trying to throw into a Rush Limbaugh, Barack Obama conversation is an ad that Move On put on that called General Petraeus General Betrayus. Now, they took their lumps for that, as they should have taken their lumps for that.
Here's the difference, Ari. Here's the difference. Democrats roundly criticized Move On for that ad. I don't think you can find more than one or two Republicans this week who have roundly criticized Rush Limbaugh for saying, I hope the Republicans hope President Obama fails.
Well, I think what you're misreading in that statement is Republicans on philosophy believe that the president's policies are not going to succeed. But I can tell you, I know I want my 201k to be a 401k again. I want the economy to get going.
Ari, it's fine to argue. It's fine to argue that you think the president's policies are going to fail, but it's a very different matter when you say you hope the president fails. In any case, Ari, it's always great sparring with you. Thanks for coming on the program.
All right, David. Good to see you again. My pleasure.